it's not about ransom. I just want to confirm to Mokwe that she is right. It's not about ransom. They just want to pass a message. We can come in. We can do what we need to do. And there are some hardliners in this government that are sponsoring this kind of narratives. They just want to show that they can Islamize this country. They think about Taliban. They think about the Mujahideens. And they want to replicate it in this country. And they don't care what happened. They simply don't care. As long as at the end of the day, there's Sharia and there is whatever thing they have in their head and they want to achieve. So these people that are sending messages are sponsored by Nigerians.
So if I could follow up on that quickly.
Please go ahead.
This part of what you just spoke about now, the security agencies gleaned this from those who they arrested over time. Saying this is the intention.
Absolutely. The intention of it's on the internet. So it's not even about the people we interrogated. The intention is to Islamize Nigeria and practice Sharia. And it doesn't matter if some people die. It doesn't matter if you're embarrassed. It doesn't matter if our economy has degenerated. Look at the interest rate. Look at the inflation rate. Look at the debt profile of Nigeria. They don't care. As long as at the end, the Quran is at the sea. So some people in this country have this mindset. And we must tell the truth. If you tell the truth, you die. If you don't tell it, you die. Some people have this mindset to Islamize the nation. And they are in the government. And people know them. The DSS know them. The NIA know them. The DIA knows them. Because it is the DIA that conducted the operations that arrested these sponsors. So they know them.
Right. All right. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening to everyone watching us from across the world. This is the global Nigerian perspective live show. Okay, you are tuning to the main source, if I do say so myself. How is everyone? How is everyone? How are you all doing? Sorry, I'm kind of all over the place, and the reason for that is because I have a little of health challenge. I was even wondering if I should go live or if I shouldn't. So you bear with me a little. I hope it doesn't affect my voice, but if it does, don't worry, I'll soldier through it. And I'm happy to have all of you here, every single one of you. It is a pleasure to see you guys here, and I want to appreciate all of you. So please, if you are here, go ahead and smash that like button, okay? Destroy the like button. This is an interesting show. We have a lot of interesting things to talk about. One interesting thing to talk about, actually. So go ahead, smash that like button. Destroy it, okay? Destroy the like button. And share this, okay? Just go out and share. Let every group chat that you belong to, whether it is WhatsApp, whether it is Telegram, whether it is Discord, just let every group chat be aware of this, okay? Let your link be there. Okay, and just share the link. Let everybody know. And also, I want to see the love in the live chat. Whether it's 100, whether it's love, whether it's whatever emoji you want to be floating. Just let it be floating. Just keep them floating. I'm so happy to see every one of you. Good. God bless to you too. Enough foolery. Good. Good evening. Good evening, ID Peter. Good evening to everyone. Good evening to Amisha Coburg. Good evening to every single one of you. I'm so happy to see all of you, and I believe this will be a very interesting live stream, and we'll be discussing things that are very important. Okay. What do you guys think really happened? Before I go into details of what happened in the news, what do you guys think really happened? Granted, I'll grant something. The way I publish the news story, I know it kind of sounds anti-Catholic or anti-Roman Catholic, particularly, right? When I looked at this, I was like, oh, well, maybe I'm being too harsh. Maybe I'm being too harsh on the Catholic Church. And you understand why I'm feeling like maybe I was being too harsh on the Catholic Church. But it is true. it is indeed a fact that top leadership, I'm talking essentially there's this office in the Catholic Church that's like the Secretary of State of the Vatican, right? So that's the person occupying that position is the person making the statement. Okay, so what I'm going to be pointing out, is not from like some low-level bishop or some low-level priest or some guy somewhere who is like, oh, now I speak for the Catholic Church. No, I'm talking about somebody who is essentially the Secretary of State of the Vatican. Okay, this is somebody who has this kind of position. It's a very high position in the Catholic Church. And he's a cardinal. That's the person we are talking about. And we are also going to be talking about, what's his name? The Bishop of Sokoto, the Bishop of Sokoto Diocese in Nigeria. So this is from a bishop and from a cardinal. From a bishop in Nigeria and from a cardinal in Rome. Okay, so this is the face of the people we are talking about. This is Cardinal Parolin, and this is Bishop Kuka. Okay, this is Bishop Kuka of Sokoto Diocese, and this is Cardinal Pietro Parolin. Okay, so this is not from random individuals. Let's start with Bishop Kuka, for example. Who is Bishop Kuka? Here is his resume according to Catholic Diocese of Sokoto. So you can see that this is official Roman Catholic website, and this is the position that this person is holding. Our bishop, Most Reverend Dr. Matthew Hassan Koka. Bishop Matthew Hassan Koka is the bishop of the Catholic Diocese of Sokoto, Nigeria. Bishop Koka was born on August 31st, 1952 in this area of Kaduna State. Koka received his primary education in St. Fidelis Primary School and then St. Joseph Minor Seminary, Zaria, before proceeding to St. Augustine Major Seminary in Jos Plateau State, where he studied philosophy and theology. Koka was ordained a Catholic priest on December 1976. Bishop Koka also attended the University of Ibadan, where he obtained a diploma in religious study. Koka also received the Bachelor of Divinity at the Pontifical Urban University, Rome, in 1976, followed by a master's degree in peace studies at the University of Bradford, United Kingdom, in 1980. Koka's academic pursuit culminated with a PhD from the University of London School of Oriental and African Studies in 1990. Between 1999 and 2001, he served as a member of the Nigerian Investigation Commission of Human Rights Violations. In addition to his work as a parish priest of St. Andrew's Parish in Kakuru, Kaduna from 2004 until his nomination as bishop, he was secretary of the National Political Reform Conference 2005, and from 2005 onward, he has been serving as the chairman of the Ogoni Shell Reconciliation. Additionally, between 2007 and 2009, he worked also in the Committee for Electoral Reform set up by the Nigerian government. So this person is not a small person. That's the point I'm trying to make here. This is not somebody who is just, who is this guy? Who is this nobody? This is not a nobody. This is a bishop of a big diocese in the north. Okay, Sokoto is not from the south. Okay, if he was a southern bishop, we could easily dismiss this as, this bishop doesn't know what he's talking about. This is a bishop from the north. Okay, from Sokoto. For those who don't know where Sokoto is, remember the story of Deborah Yakubu, the student who was stoned and burnt to ashes for blasphemy. That happened in Sokoto. The state, Sokoto, is where it happened in. And this man is the bishop. He's the bishop of the Sokoto diocese. Okay? And he was bishop. He's still bishop. He has been acting as bishop for a very long time and was bishop when the attack happened against the lynching of Deborah happened. So he's not a new bishop. He did not become a bishop newly. He has been bishop for a very long time. Okay? It's important to note this. And what did he say? Well, here is the statement. So I'm not misquoting him. This is not me blowing his statement out of proportion or trying to say something that he did not say. okay, it's important that we lay all this down, because I don't want to be somebody who is just who is just making inflammatory statement against a very big church, okay, the Catholic Church. I don't want to just be doing that. I want you guys to see exactly what is being said and why it is a problem. I will not even read the report of what he said. Rather, I'm going to go straight to his speech and read his full speech. You can see here what is written here. Below is the full statement by Bishop Matthew Hassan Coker. Okay? And this was given at the launch of the ACIN 2025 World Report on Religious Freedom in the World. Now, the ACIN, I've forgotten what it stands for. What does the ACIN stand for? Let me be sure. Okay, it stands for Aid to the Church in Need. Okay, that's what the ACIN stands for, Aid to the Church in Need. And they've made multiple reports about Christian persecution in the world, Christians being attacked. They really pay special attention to this. And we are going to read some of their reports on what is happening in Nigeria and how they describe what is happening in Nigeria. As far back as 2025. Okay, I'm not going to the past. I think someone might accuse me of, I go way too back in the past to find old statements. We are going to dwell within the framework of the last 5 years in this live stream to just show you what has been said by these people in the past. So this is the summit. The summit is organized by this group, right? And in this summit or in this luncheon, or in this launching of a report, whatever, this conference, whatever, here is the statement that was given by Matthew Hassan Coker, Bishop of the Catholic Diocese of Sokoto, Nigeria, delivered at the Augustinianum Hall in October 21st, 2021 at the Vatican City. So this statement was made at the Vatican City. And this is what he has to say. I want to thank Aid to the Church in Need for their kind invitation to me to speak in response to the release of their biennial report on religious freedom in the world. The report itself is a huge document of 12,048 pages. It covers the state of religious freedom around the entire world, blah, 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 blah. There has been serious concerns nationally and internationally over the deterioration of security matters in Nigeria. The report have focused on the tragic outburst of violence that have turned huge swaths of the Nigerian landscape into a huge killing field. For over 15 years now, these murderous gangs of Islamicists and jihadist groups have found their way into our country, wreaking havoc, destroying lives and properties, ravaging farmlands, and leaving huge parts of the country empty of human existence. Along with this, a culture of uncontrolled banditry. Thousands of communities have been destroyed, with thousands of lives lost. The country has witnessed an unacceptable surge in internal displacement in most parts of the north, especially around the Middle Belt states. The biggest challenge for us is the appropriate language to use in describing this tragedy. Okay? So he's recognizing, yes, there's something happening in the north. But he said the challenge is, how do you describe this? What is the appropriate language for describing this? Okay? The reaction has been confusing. Early narratives spoke of farmer header clashes, climate change, cattle rustling, outright criminality, etc. With the emergence of Boko Haram and the targeting of Christian structures, destruction of schools, hospitals, and kidnapping of priests, the religious, seminarian, and other pastoral agents, the murderous gangs invoking the words like Allahu Akbar as their anthem of death. There was no other way of speaking of persecution of Christians by this jihadist group, rather than calling them religious persecution targeted at Christians. He was saying at the time, the only way to speak of this is what he's saying, that at the time, the only way to speak of this was to call it a religious persecution targeted at Christians. Then came the sacking of communities and occupation of swaths of lands by these terrorist and murderous groups. These groups would later target Muslims who did not believe in their brand of Islam. Okay? Today, the flood of blood in Nigeria has no boundaries. Okay, there are no boundaries. That's what he's saying. That today, he said at the beginning, we called this a targeted attack on Christians. But over time, we came to realize that, they attack Christians and Muslims. So the flow of blood in Nigeria has no boundaries at this point. This is why the debate over what is happening to us has become so confusing within and outside Nigeria. Okay, it is not confusing within Nigeria. It is just confusing outside of Nigeria. And there are people who are trying to create that confusion. Okay? Bishop, get your story straight. Although we cannot find the right words, yes, we cannot. The simple truth is that Nigerians are dying for a living. The confusion over the appropriate language is understandable. The greater area of concern is how much this tragic turn of events have disrupted years of Nigerians being a colorful tapestry of wonderful human relationships marked by great friendship amongst our people across faiths and ethnicity. For example, I live in Sokoto, right in the womb of Islam. If we are dealing with outright persecution of Christians on ground of identity, both myself and my small flock would not exist. So he's saying, if there is actually a persecution of Christians, someone like myself and my small flock of of Catholic believers in Sokoto, we will not exist. So his proof that there is no genocide, there is no targeted attack and persecution of Christians is the fact of that he exists and his flock of believers or his parishioners exist. For example, on September 8, 2011, the ceremony of my ordination and installation as the Bishop of Sokoto was marked by this exemplary show of collaboration between the diocese, the state government, and the Sultan, who personally, enthusiastically provided accommodation for my guests during the occasion. I received the gift of a new Prado Jeep from a Muslim friend of mine who said to me, "Bishop, this is my gift to you for your pastoral work in your vast diocese." On the 30th of September this year, the Sultan himself, that's not too long ago, the Sultan himself was physically in the premises of my secretariat, where we commissioned an ICT facility with about 200 computers for youth and children. This is not to say that there is no problem, but our daily lives should be defined by a better narrative. So I guess the way to get this bishop to change his tone or to come up with this tone about what is going on with Christians in northern Nigeria and in the Middle Belt is to give him 30 computers and to build an ICT facility in his church. And when the Sultan of Sokoto gave him, that, he's like, come on, this is proof that there is no genocide. This is proof that nothing bad is happening. So he continues, we are therefore not dealing with cases of people who are going around wielding machetes and looking for me to kill because I'm a Christian. I travel in my official regalia as bishop in and out of Sokoto. We carry out religious services with no molestation. However, what is important is not to create the impression that we have no problem. We do have serious problem, but these have escalated because the federal and the state government have over the years allowed this problem to fester. The inability of the federal government and its security agencies to end this killing has created the condition for the genocide that has taken over many communities today. So is there a genocide or is there not a genocide? You just use the word that has created the condition for the genocide. So you're saying there is a genocide and yet you're saying there is no genocide. What is it, Bishop? Okay? I know money kind of make you confused and says, or gifts. The Bible said that the gift of a man maketh way for him, and a bribe can corrupt a man. So I guess the gift of the Sultan of Sokoto has made way for him into the heart of the bishop, and the bribe that he has received have tainted his ability to speak plainly and to not speak from both sides of his mouth, as we are seeing him do here clearly. I mean, he's saying there is no targeted persecution. I mean, look at me, look at my church, look at the gift that we received from the Sultan. Can't you see that there is actually no target against someone like myself? I move about the northern part of this country with no risk to my security. This is proof that there is no persecution of Christians in Nigeria, right? Yet, in just one sentence, few sentences later, he's like, "Oh, the government has done something to create this condition of genocide that has taken over many communities today." By whatever names we choose, the fact is that Nigerians are dying unacceptable deaths across the country. In many cases, they are targeted because of their beliefs, but also because of their ethnicity. We are the cops of a weak state with lack of capacity to arrest the descent into anarchy. Then he said Nigerians feel vulnerable and unprotected, irrespective of their faith, ethnicity, or social class. So Nigerians are this is irrespective of whatever you believe, whether you're a Muslim, whether you're a Christian, whether you are Fulani, whether you are not. Despite the fact that the Fulanis don't attack other Fulani communities, but it doesn't matter whether you're a Fulani or you're not, Hausa or not. It doesn't matter what you believe and what you don't. As everybody is feeling vulnerable, irrespective of faith, ethnicity, or social class. Yes, irrespective of social class, right? Irrespective whether you work in Aso Rock or not, everybody is feeling this insecurity. Even Tinubu himself irrespective of the fact that he's president of the country, who moves about with a convoy of military personnel. His military convoy is as long as an entire street in Nigeria. Even he feels the insecurity. I'm telling you, he feels the insecurity. He doesn't feel safe in Nigeria. I can guarantee you that, according to the bishop. A significant part of our social life has literally collapsed as many citizens now fear large gatherings for social events or prayer. It is important to restate that things were never really like this, blah, 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 blah. Today, sadly, Nigeria is still bleeding. However, I see a window of opportunity. Okay, so he's telling us that there is hope. I see a window of opportunity that we could use to restore harmony amongst our people. The report acknowledged that the first family is an example of what should give hope in Nigeria. With the president being a Muslim and his wife being a pastor in a Pentecostal church, the president and vice president are Muslims, yet Christians have not felt alienated. The chief of general staff of the Nigerian army, the director of security service, among others, are Christians. The president just appointed a Christian as the leader of the ruling party. He also has appointed a Christian as the chairman of the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC. There are confidence-building measures. These confidence-building measures aim at inspiring confidence in the citizens. Well, we are not inspired about having a sense of belonging. Our situation is far from perfect. We are still in a bad place, but there are signs of a government willing to listen. In response to the tragedy of the horrible killings in Yewata, Benue State, the president physically paid a visit and had interactive sessions with the victims and the state government. It also pledged financial assistance to the victims. Such actions are different from the Buhari period, when the president largely simply looked the other way without empathy. Okay, so what has changed is because Tinubu went to pay a visit to Yewata community in Benue State. Yewata, I hope I pronounced it well the first time I read it. Yewata community in Benue State, because Tinubu went there to pay them a visit, even though that did not mean anything, even though the insecurity is still ongoing, even though the attack has continued. But I mean, let's consider the fact that Tinubu went and paid a visit to the victims and promised them financial assistance, even though many of them are still languishing in IDP camps. That is not consequential. Things are changing now because Christians are part of the leadership in the Nigerian army, and because the current president, his wife is a pastor of the Redeemed Christian Church of God. That shows that things are changing. Okay, there is hope for Nigeria because of this. What else does he have to say? Blah 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 blah. Okay, the report indicates some decline in terrorist attacks, quoting the Global Terrorist Index report of 2025, which states that terrorist attack in Nigeria declined by 27% in 2024. However, the report still notes that during the reporting period, innumerable attacks in Nigeria were documented in which the victim's religious affiliation played a contributing or decisive role. Religious identities, particularly Christian identity in the northern states, matter intensively because it renders Christian and moderate Muslims particularly vulnerable to violence, persecution, and displacement. Religious freedom in Nigeria is under grave threat, principally due to legal measures that support discrimination against Christians in the northern states, as well as severe and relentless atrocities committed throughout the country. It is therefore deeply discouraging to note that prospects for religious freedom in Africa, Africa's most populous nation, remain extremely grim. Okay? Back to speaking from both sides of your mouth. The report is not meant to make any side happy or sad. It is a wake-up call for Nigeria. The report offers Nigeria the opportunity to stand in the mirror and decide how it wants to create a country of common citizenship. Let me read that sentence again. This report is not meant to make anyone happy or sad. It is a wake-up call for Nigeria. The report offers Nigeria an opportunity to stand in the mirror and decide how it wants to create a country of common citizenship. President Bola Tinubu ordered Nigeria to return to its old national anthem, emphasizing that one of the stanzas says, we want to build a nation where no one is oppressed. Now is the time to live up to these principles. There is an urgent need to bring all laws, and I mean all, under the purview of the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. Blah 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 blah. Now here is the part that I want to. I do believe that today acts of impunity still exist, but it is my view that redesignating Nigeria a country of particular concern will hurt the initiative we are working on with the current government to collectively resolve the nagging problem of, first, the persecution of Christians, and of course, the larger issue of ending the mindless killings of our citizens. Designating my country, Nigeria, a country of particular concern or a country of concern will only make our work in the area of dialogue among religious leaders in our country and elsewhere with the Nigerian state even harder. It will only increase tension, sow doubt, open windows of suspicion and fear, and simply allow the criminals and perpetrators of violence to exploit. What Nigeria needs now is a more vigilance. What kind of statement is that? It's more vigilance by the organizations such as the ACIN and civil society groups to continue to press for change and to deliberately work to end impunity. I believe that the Obama and Biden administration were complicit in the way they handled the fight against Boko Haram under the presidency of Goodluck Jonathan. The country was already making progress. The decision to block Nigerians' access to the required weapon to end this violence by the Obama administration and their drive to impose President Buhari on Nigeria. Jesus Christ. Is this man mad? Sorry, I know this is a... Sorry, I've been reading and I many of you are not even following because you're like, please be done with the reading. But is the person who wrote this speech and who delivered this speech, is the person mad? It's a very concerning question. I want to read this paragraph so you understand why I'm asking the question. Let me read it again. I believe the Obama and Biden administration were complicit in the way they handled the fight against Boko Haram under the presidency of Goodluck Jonathan. Okay, fine. The country was already making progress. The decision to block Nigeria's access to the required weapon to end this violence by the Obama administration and their drive to impose President Buhari on Nigeria push back this fight. He said it is the Obama administration that imposed Buhari on Nigerians. That is the claim being made by this bishop. For those who don't understand why this is annoying and this is ridiculous, the person who pushed Buhari on Nigerians is the current president of Nigeria, Bola Ahmed Tinubu Asiwaju. He is the one who imposed Buhari on Nigerians. In fact, it is one of the things he campaigned upon. He told northern Nigerians, I gave you Buhari, now make me president. That is what he told them. His entire mantra was, it is my turn. It is my turn, meaning I made this person president. I made Buhari president. Now make me president. That was his entire appeal to the north. That is why he chose a Muslim as his vice. Never has this current administration condemned or criticized the past administration because they were part of it. They were crucial to its formation and its operation in Nigeria. They inflicted Nigeria with this. Bola Ahmed Tinubu and Buhari belong to the same political party. This talk about the person who imposed Buhari on us is currently the president of the country. It's not Obama. It's not Biden. It is Tinubu. So what nonsense is this? What nonsense is this? What kind of rubbish? There is somebody who lives in Nigeria is just saying this thing from, no, come on. I mean, there are many things he has been saying that are just lies, and I'm like, okay, you know what? Fine, lie on. Okay, fine. I've had this lie before, but this one is fresh. This lie is fresh out of the oven. What? And now he's like, oh, Nigeria should not be designated a country of particular concern, even though there are concerning things that are happening. But placing Nigeria as a country of particular concern is going to hinder the progress. Okay. What progress exactly? What progress has he mentioned? This is the progress he has mentioned for those who are confused. Progress number 1, according to him, Buhari is no longer president. Progress number 2, the current president, his wife is a pastor. That's progress number 2. Progress number 3, the president has appointed Christians to prominent positions in the military and in the government. That's progress number 3. Progress number 4, the president visited victims of terrorist attacks, which the past administration did not do. That is the progress. Has the killing stopped? He said, oh, according to this report, the terrorist attack has reduced by 37%. Does that negate the fact that 7,000 plus Christians have been killed in the past 7 months? In the first 7 months of 2025, 7,000 Christians have been killed. 35 Christians a day. Does that negate any of that? There is progress. What progress exactly are you talking about? By progress, you mean that the president is giving political appointments to Christians. That is the progress. So all it takes to get Christians to be on board with the current administration is if they get political appointments. And this is important. Because because one of the people who has received political appointments, you might interest you to know, one of the people who have received political appointments is this bishop. This bishop is one of those people. Look at it. Tinubu appoints Kuga as Kaduna Federal Varsity's pro-chancellor. He has received this is progress. Okay? Christians are dying. Communities have been razed to the ground. Many towns are now ghost towns in Nigeria. Many communities are now empty. Muslims, these Fulani jihadists have taken over many communities. Many people have been killed. Lives have been lost. But there is progress because Tinubu appointed Kuga as the pro-chancellor of the Federal University of Kaduna. Hallelujah. Progress. What else do you define as simony if not this? What else can you define as simony if not this? I thought simony was a thing of the past in the Catholic Church. Apparently I was wrong. This is oh my goodness. The shamelessness of this man. That's not all. Yeah. And you know the funny thing about all these people who come out to say this nonsense is that we can always get statements that they made in the past. That is the interesting part. You know, right now he's like, what term can we use to describe what is happening in Nigeria? Here he is. On April 19, 2025. On April 19, 2025, he said, Nigeria soaked in ocean of blood. He said this after 200 Christians were massacred in 1 week. He said Nigeria is soaked in the ocean of blood. This is how many months ago? April, we have September, August, July, June, May. 5 months ago, Bishop Kuka was like, oh, Nigeria is soaked in blood. Soaked in blood. I guess after he made that statement, Tinubu called him and was like, I appointed you to be pro-chancellor. Do you want to lose your position? And he's like, no, sir. Here is Bishop Kuka. On August 2020, this is what he said. It is genocide indeed. Nigeria's bishop, and in case you are wondering, it's Bishop Kuka. Or Kuka. I don't even know at this point now. I'm not even interested in pronouncing his name properly. Here is the report. A Catholic bishop in Nigeria's Diocese of Sokoto has likened the increased killing of Nigerian Christians by Fulani herders who also target Muslims in the West African country to genocide. A statement that occurred with a recently published report in the United Kingdom that suggests unfolding genocide in Nigeria. In an interview with ACIN, Bishop Matthew Kuka, who was asked whether he agreed that the Fulani killings of Christians can be categorized as genocide according to international law, said, I believe so. So back in 2020, he believed so. What changed? Bishop, what has changed? Political appointment. Once the way to end genocide in Nigeria is to give a Catholic bishop political appointment. Okay, once you give him a political appointment, you've ended genocide. Okay, that is the only way to end genocide, according to the Catholic Church, apparently. This is Bishop Kuka saying last year, as early as last year, he said, killing Christians is the only offense that is not punished. He said in Nigeria, the killing of Christians is the only offense that is not punished. That was his statement last year. On August 24, 2024. That was his statement. The Bishop of the Roman Catholic Diocese of Sokoto, Matthew Kuka, yesterday condemned the persistent persecution of Christians in the north and lamented that perpetrators are allowed to move freely without facing punishment. Kuka argued that despite the ill treatment experienced by the church in the north recently, not a single individual has been charged to court for those incidents. Under the past administration, under Tinubu's administration, in 2021, he went to Congress. Essentially to deliver a testimony against the current administration, and part of that testimony was what was responsible for Nigeria being placed as a country of particular concern under Buhari. He said that the federal government is helpless and uninterested in dealing decisively with bandits and insurgents. That's what he went to Congress to go and say. This is the same bishop. Multiple times, condemning what is happening in Nigeria, asking that Nigeria be placed, as in being part of the campaign to place Nigeria as a country of particular concern. But all of that has changed because he was appointed pro-chancellor of Cardinal University. Is that not fantastic, ladies and gentlemen? Is that not what it means to be a true Catholic? Is that, when I saw this, I was like, oh my goodness, this is unfortunate. This is unfortunate. This is so unfortunate. What do you gain from this? What exactly does he gain from this? And then there is a Cardinal Pietro Parolin. And for those who don't know, this is, like I was saying earlier, these are not small people in the Catholic Church. By the way, guys, please, if you are not yet subscribed to the channel, subscribe to the channel. Please smash the like button, destroy that like button, okay? Demolish it. And please, if you have not shared the link to this live stream, share it to all your loved ones. Let everybody know that we are live, okay? And also send me super chats, okay? I'm here to receive your money, of course. Okay, this is me practicing my own simony, okay? I do it for, just support me doing what I'm already doing, okay? Just pay me simony. The Catholic Church is clearly setting precedence that there is no problem with simony. So please, indulge me. I am selling indulgences right now. If you give me $100 super chats, you are going straight to heaven, okay? You are skipping purgatory, straight up to heaven, okay? And if you pay $200 in super chats, two of your relatives who are in purgatory will go straight to heaven. I'm telling you, this is me administering the treasure of merits, okay? As an appointed priest, I'm distributing from the treasure of merits, okay? I'm giving you, I'm absorbing your sins and the sins of your dead relatives. I have that power. So send me that money, and I'm telling you, I'm going to expel your relatives from purgatory straight into heaven. Trust me, I have that power. Anyways, who is the Cardinal Secretary of State? The Secretary of State of His Holiness, also known as the Cardinal Secretary of State or the Vatican Secretary of State, presides over the Secretariat of State of the Holy See, the oldest and most important dicastery of the Roman Curia. The Secretary of State performs all the political and diplomatic functions of the Holy See and Vatican City. The Secretary of State is sometimes described as the Prime Minister of the Holy See, but the head of the government of the Vatican is the President of the Governorate of the Vatican City State. Cardinal Pietro Parolin has served as Secretary of State since 2013, nominated by Francis and temporarily confirmed also by Leo XVI in May 2025. The duties of the state is appointed by the Secretary of State is appointed by the Pope and serves as one of his principal advisors. As one of the senior officers of the Roman Catholic Church, the Secretary is required to be a cardinal. And then we move to the next paragraph. The Secretary's term ends with the... All right, whatever. So we already know who this person is and what their position is. And we consider this is no small position. Okay, this is no small position. And here is his statement. Here is his statement at the same event, okay? The ACIN event, at the same event, okay? So they're all in the same WhatsApp group, attending the same meeting, okay? Of course, he began his statement by talking about Gaza, okay? The Vatican Secretary of State, Cardinal Pietro Parolin, has expressed the Holy See's concern over the renewed violence in Gaza, but said that the Vatican remains full of hope that the proposed peace plan can still work. He made the remark on the sideline of the official presentation of the latest edition of the Report on Religious Freedom in the World, compiled by Aids to the Church in Need, that's ACIN or ACN. Speaking to journalists outside the Pontifical Augustinian institution, Cardinal Parolin was asked about the mistreatment of Christians in the West Bank, particularly in the village of Taibe, by Israeli settlers. And then he responded by, this is certainly a very complex issue, he said, but we fail to understand why these Christians, who are simply living their normal lives, should be subjected to such hostility. To speak of persecution is slightly problematic, he added, but certainly there are situations we cannot accept. These are situations we cannot accept. Now, turning to Africa and the surge of hatred and violence affecting Christians in parts of Nigeria, Cardinal Parolin cited local sources, stressing that the situation is not a religious conflict. Alhamdulillah. It is not a religious conflict, but rather more a social one. For example, dispute between herders and farmers. It is so. I am happy to see that what is informing the Vatican and informing the statements of prominent members, prominent leaders in the Roman Catholic Church are articles from Al Jazeera. I am happy to see that. Maybe he should have thrown in climate change while he was at it. Blame it at the feet, put it at the feet of climate change, which of course I can see that the Catholic Church is very invested in that. That is why we have Pope Leo blessing an ice block, a block of ice. You could have just thrown in climate change while he's at it. Make it full, as in go full demented. And then he added, we should also recognize that many Christians in Nigeria are themselves victims of this same intolerance. He added, these are extremist groups that make no distinction in pursuing their goal. They use violence against anyone they see as an opponent. That is his statement. That is his statement. Meanwhile, if there's anything I can say concerning this, I guess this, if anyone is in doubt, before people are like, what does it mean? What does Vatican II mean? I guess this is proof that Catholics and Muslims worship the same God. If you've ever doubted, do Catholics and Muslims worship the same God? I guess this is proof, okay? This goes to validate the claim that Catholics and Muslims are all worshiping the same God, Because, what is the difference between a statement, an official statement from the Catholic Church and an official statement from Al Jazeera, the Islamist media arm, the media arm of Islamists around the world? If they are all saying the same thing, it has to tell you something with regards to, the God they worship. So this is a report from the Aid. You can see this is a report from the Aid to the Church in Need. And, now I'm going to click Nigeria to see what they have to say about Nigeria. Let's read the report. Come on. I don't want to download the PDF. Just give me the report. I was able to open this before. What is going on? Okay, so here is the report from the ACIN. We're going to read some of the things that they mentioned, and okay, so let's start from this paragraph. It's also 17 pages, so I just want to go from page 6 and the first paragraph on page 6. What does it say? It said, Christians in the North speak of deep-rooted discrimination, including political exclusion and fewer job opportunities. Christian men are not allowed to marry Muslim women. Christian education is not permitted in public schools, and the hijab, a head covering worn by Muslim women, must be worn by all female students. Christian students have no access to state scholarship, and graduates are discriminated against in the labor market. Christian churches are not allowed to buy land and building permits for some churches are denied. And Christian women and girls face risk of adoption, forced marriage, and forced conversions. This is what the ACIN is reporting. This is the problem that I have. It's like, is the Catholic Church, are these leaders in the Catholic Church not reading their own report? Are you guys not reading your own report? According to your own report, this is what is happening to Christians in northern Nigeria. Let us go through the list. 1, they are excluded from political. They are politically excluded. They have fewer job opportunities. They are not allowed to marry Muslim women. Christian education is not permitted in schools, but Muslim education is permitted. Their Christian girls in school are forced to wear the hijab. Christian students have no access to state-sponsored scholarships, and when they graduate, they are discriminated against in the labor market. Christian churches are not allowed to buy land. When they want to buy lands in the North, they are not allowed. They are not given permits to build new church buildings. Christian women and girls face the risk of being kidnapped and forced and subjected to forced marriage and forced conversion. And then he said, but by contrast, in southern Nigeria, where a significant percentage of Muslims live among a majority Christian population, no significant incidents of religious motivated violence has occurred, and interreligious relations are generally respectful. Okay? So that is, in the North, what you see is not the same what you see in the South. Okay? Now, this is another paragraph saying, during the 2-year reporting period, Nigeria has witnessed a severe and escalating wave of violence, largely driven by extremist Islamic groups such as Boko Haram and the Islamic State West African Province. Although exact figures are difficult to assess, Christians have been the target of extrajudicial killings and kidnaps by insurgent groups and criminal gangs. This is from your own report, the Catholic Church. This is from your own report, but you will ignore all of that when you are giving press conferences. You are ignoring all of that. It's kind of frustrating to witness because many of the reports I cite are from the Catholic Church. Many of the reports I cite to demonstrate that this is indeed an attack, a targeted attack on Christians, and the majority of those who are being targeted are Christians are coming from the Catholic Church. The Inter-Society that published the report that was featured on The Economist and was talked about by Bill Maher and many other prominent figures in the West was published by the Catholic Church. The group, the Inter-Society, is an organization, an NGO that is organized by the Catholic Church. So on one end, you have the Catholic Church saying, yes, based on our investigation and based on what we have, our activity on the ground and our journalistic investigation on the ground, we have come to the conclusion that yes, this is targeted attack on Christians and this is a Christian genocide. And then you have church leaders go to summits and events and say, oh, you know what, that is actually not happening. Catholic Church leaders precisely. And here in the report, they give instances of the attacks that have been carried out against Christians in the last 2 years. They say it is important to note that although Christians suffer the brunt, they mention that they suffer the brunt of extremist violence. The fact that the terrorist group operates in the states with a predominantly Muslim population means that the violence has not only affected Christians but also Muslims. Okay? Due to the overwhelming amount of religious freedom violations between January 2023 to December 2024, this section provides only a selection of incidents and developments related to religious freedom in Nigeria that occurred during the reported period. Over this period, the news cycle in Nigeria has been dominated by brutal and violent attacks by extremist militants, mostly in the northeast, north central, and middle belt part of the country, perpetrated mainly by Islamist terrorists such as Boko Haram and ISWAP. In January 2023, Boko Haram abducted 8 farmers and killed one in this village in Borno State. On 2020, in February 2023, Nigerians went to the polls to vote for a new president and the representative in two houses of the federal parliament, President Bola Ahmed Tinubu. I mean, okay, what is okay? That is not important. On 29 May and 23rd June 2023, at least 1,100 Christians, including 20 pastors and priests, were killed as Fulani militants and other groups carried out coordinated attacks in Plateau State. On 10th August 2023, Fulani militants massacred 21 people, including entire families, in Bat in this area in Plateau State. The attack took place during a night raid, while Nigerian soldiers stationed nearby failed to intervene despite prior warnings, prompting accusation of military complicity. On 12 September 2023, Fulani herders and other terrorists killed 10 Christians in this village in Plateau State. On October 2023, Boko Haram extremists shot dead 17 people in Yobe State and then used a landmine to kill 20 more who had gone to attend the burial. So they killed 17 people, and then when people went to attend the burial, 20 of those who went to attend the burial of the 17 people were killed. The authorities present at the scene could not provide exact detail of the death toll. So that means more than 20 people may have died. Between 21 and 30 October 2023, 12 people were killed and 13 women raped in this place in Benue State. The Foundation for Justice, Development and Peace, a Catholic mission in Makurdi, which is the capital of Benue State, said that at least 150 people were killed by militants in Benue State between 4th May and 18th October 2023. Father Cletus Boa, a priest in charge of the St. Francis Xavier parish in this area, stated that the Fulanis have taken over 8 council wards in this community. He further declared that the terrorists sometimes rape women and let them go, but in most cases they rape them and kill them. On October 2023, an attack took place in Abuja, the country's capital city, where 2 police officers were killed following an attack by the Prescribed Islamic Movement in Nigeria, IMN. That's another terrorist organization, which has strong ties to Iran. In a counter statement, a Shia sheikh, Sedi Sokoto, said that the police disrupted their being symbolic trek, a Shia religious event, killing and injuring several mourners. Over 8 days, beginning on the 23rd of December 2023, in a coordinated campaign, hundreds of terrorists, including mercenaries from Niger, Chad, Cameroon, and Fulani militants, that means many of them are not even from Nigeria, attacked predominantly Christian villages in Plateau State, killing at least 295 citizens, including Christians. Amnesty International Nigeria's office said it confirmed 140 deaths in the Christian majority Bokos and Bokin Laden area of Plateau State on Christmas Eve of 2023. In a statement on 8 February 2025, the European Parliament stated that it strongly condemned the act of violence over Christmas targeting Christians and other communities, which resulted in an unprecedented number of deaths, injuries, and displacements, and expresses its solidarity with those affected. The start of 2024, last year, witnessed a continuous spate of attacks on Christian villages, with hundreds displaced in Boga district, and many villages such as Washna, Kumbale, and other places subsequently occupied by Fulani settlers engaged in farming and mining. So there are many villages now in Nigeria, currently as we are speaking, that are being occupied by these Fulani terrorists who are engaging in farming and mining in those communities. All right. In March 2024, Boko Haram terrorists abducted a dozen displaced persons, mostly women, who lived in a camp in this area after they fled from their villages due to attacks by insurgents. Estimates of the number adopted ranges from 113 to over 200. So Boko Haram have attacked their village earlier. These people fled to an IDP camp, and Boko Haram went to that IDP camp and kidnapped over 200 women in the IDP camp. All right. On October 2024, the Nigerian Navy captured 13 Fulani militants who were terrorists and killing people in Nasarawa State. According to the naval officer, the latest attack marked the 5th time Fulani ethnic militias invaded the community within 4 months. So in 4 months, this is the 5th time. Okay. On November 2024, Bishop Wilfred Chikpa Anabe of the Catholic Diocese of Makurdi called for action after escalated violence in Benue State led to the closure of 15 parishes in his diocese. I guess, Wilfred will have kept his mouth shut if he was giving political appointments, but Tinubu will have to test out that hypothesis. Okay, In December 2024, a wave of violence attack targeted Christian communities in the middle belt of Nigeria, particularly during the Christmas period, leaving dozens of people dead. According to reports received by Aid to the Church in Need from local church sources, most severe incidents occurred on Christmas Day in this place in Benue State, where at least 47 people, including women, were killed. And all 8 Catholic outstations, that's chapel, of St. Mary Parish, as well as clinics, schools, and homes were destroyed by fire. The parish priest and his assistants survived by hiding in the bush for an entire day before being rescued. Similar attacks were also reported in the Diocese of Makurdi, Benue State, and Plateau State. Despite repeated appeal from the Catholic Church, the Nigerian government has yet to provide adequate security or effectively curb the persistent terrorist and intercommunal violence affecting the country. No. I don't know if you guys if people who wrote this report have yet to hear from Bishop Kuka, who said the government there is progress because he has been appointed. In Nigeria, Fulani interests are represented by 2 main organizations, Mighty Allah Cattle Breeders Association and Mighty Allah Quarter Hall, run by elites within the Fulani cattle sector. And the two groups have faced accusation of enabling or justifying violence, though they publicly deny involvement in any criminal activity. True. See, Mighty Allah is a criminal organization. Mighty Allah is a terrorist organization. I said so. During the reported period, suspected Fulani militias targeted a school for the first time. They targeted a school for the first time, marking a concerning escalation in violence against Christians in Nigeria and the Middle Belt. On 7 May 2024, armed men attacked Father Angus Fraser Memorial High School in Makurdi State. The assault occurred at night while students were sleeping in their dormitory. So this is a boarding school, a Catholic boarding school that was attacked. Thanks to the swift intervention of school staff, all students were safely evacuated. This unprecedented assault on an educational institution has heightened fears that schools could become new targets amidst the ongoing violence against Christian communities. And so on and so on and so on and so on. Let me read more. Let me not skip through. The attack on the Father Angus Fraser Memorial High School occurred just weeks after the 10th anniversary of the adoption of 247 students, mostly Christian girls, from the government girls secondary school in Chibok, Borno State by Boko Haram. More than a decade later, over 90 of the Chibok girls remain missing. A recent UNICEF report highlights a worrying increase in such incidents. Of course, this goes to show that, of course, this is not genocide against Christians, and this is not persecution of Christians. Of course, it doesn't indicate any of that. Didn't you hear that the Sultan of Sokoto bought a Prado Jeep and gave it to Bishop Kuka? Once the Sultan of Sokoto gives you a Prado Jeep, how can you go out and say there is a persecution of Christians? It doesn't exist, apparently. Nigeria has multiple security challenges that has affected the peace and stability of the country, blah, 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 blah. According to the 2024 Global Terrorism Index, while terrorist attacks in Nigeria decreased by 37% in 2024, death from terrorists rose by 6%. Wait. According to the 2025 Global Terrorist Index, while terrorist attacks in Nigeria decreased by 37% in 2024, deaths from terrorism rose by 6% to 565, the highest figure since 2020. Okay, so the attacks have decreased by 37%, but the victims of the attack and the deaths caused by the attacks have increased, which means the terrorists are no longer, maybe in the past they will carry out 10 attacks and kill 40 people, but now they carry out 7 attacks and kill 90 people. But according to Bishop Kuka, that is progress. That is progress, ladies and gentlemen. Okay, of course the terror attacks have reduced. It has reduced, even though the victims have increased, which means the terrorists are becoming more efficient. That is all it means, that this terrorism has become very much more efficient. They don't need to carry out 9,000 attacks now. They can now scale down because they are becoming more effective in killing people. And according to Bishop Kuka, that is progress. Okay. This increase, which excludes attack perpetrated, by the way, this excludes attacks perpetrated by Fulani militants, as they are not classified as acts of terrorism. So the attack by bandits. So put in mind that this 37% decrease that you're talking about is because they did not put into account what is being carried, what is these attacks by so-called bandits and Fulani terrorists, because they are not classified as terrorist attacks. Okay, let's read this sentence again. This increase, which excludes attacks perpetrated by Fulani militants, as they are not classified as acts of terrorism, is largely attributed to the ongoing conflict between ISWAP and Boko Haram, which together accounts for nearly 60% of all terrorism-related fatalities. Civilians are the most affected, representing 62% of deaths, a sharp rise from 21% in 2023. Notably, Boko Haram surpasses ISWAP as Nigeria's deadliest terror groups for the first time since 2019, recording 175 deaths in 2024, a rise of 18%, despite carrying out fewer attacks than the previous year, because they are becoming more effective. On 28 June 2023, Irish President Michael D. Higgins deplored a massacre, declaring that such an attack was made in a place of worship, deplored a massacre, declaring that such an attack was made in a place of worship is a source of particular condemnation, as is any attempt to scapegoat pastoral people who are among the foremost victims of the consequence of climate change. Oh yeah. Good to know that Irish president knows what is causing the problem. The climate change theory that militant attacks on Christians are primarily due to global warming impact driving population into conflict over water and grazing area has been refuted in part by the local church. In an interview with aid to the church in need, Father this father, head of the Foundation for Justice, Development and Peace under the Diocese of Makurdi, rejected the narrow climate change explanation for the ongoing violence. He contended that environmental challenges alone do not account for the killings, noting that similar conditions elsewhere have not triggered comparable conflict. According to the father, the attacks are part of a strategy by terrorist groups who exploit headsmen as instruments to forcibly displace local populations. Violence in Nigeria has also been fueled by accusation of blasphemy. In 2023, Usman Boda, a butcher attacked on Sokoto's abattoir in North Nigeria, was killed by his fellow butcher for allegedly blasphemous statements about the Prophet Muhammad. A father of six, Buddha was stoned to death after saying that he agreed with the idea of Sheikh Abdul Aziz, a prominent Muslim scholar from Bauchi State. Amnesty International concluded that the argument leading to the butcher's death had been orchestrated to settle grudges about sales at the market. It condemned the murder and blamed the Nigerian government for creating a permissive environment for brutality. The United States urged Nigeria to repeal its blasphemy laws. In addition, there are numerous cases of women being accused and killed for participating in witchcraft. On 18th June 2023, Martina, this person, was suspected of killing two young men who died in a motorcycle accident. She was blamed of engineering the accident by using witchcraft. A mob interrogated her, stoned her, and then burnt her alive by the road. Mubarak Bala, an ex-Muslim and an atheist, was sentenced by a court in the northern city of Kaduna in February 2023 after pleading guilty to charges of blasphemy. In January 2023, Mr. Bala was freed after serving 4 years in prison. In February 2025, a Hamas delegation visited Nigeria. A televised interview with Gaza Hamed, a senior leader of Hamas, on Nigeria's TV elicited negative reaction from Nigerians and the international community. In his interview, Hamad justified the October 7 attack on Israel as a retaliation for Israel's action towards Palestinians in Gaza. I don't know why this is important and why this is in the report, but okay. On 13 July 2023, armed militants carried out a large-scale massacre of approximately 200 Christians in Benue State. The victims, previously displaced by earlier attacks, were in temporary accommodations in market squares in Yelawata, near Makurdi, when the assailants, reportedly shouting Allahu Akbar, opened fire indiscriminately after setting fire. That is, they started shooting indiscriminately after setting fire to the door of the displaced people's apartment. According to witnesses, police prevented the attackers from storming the St. Joseph's Church, where about 700 displaced individuals had taken refuge. The militants then targeted the market area, opening fire in an area where more than 500 people had been asleep. This happened in 2025, June 2025. Catholic priests and religion in northern Nigeria are also being specifically targeted for kidnapping and assault. Father Thomas Oyode in Edo State in southern Nigeria was kidnapped in October 2024 and released after 11 days of captivity. Father Azubike was kidnapped in Imo State. Father Christian Uchebu was kidnapped the following day while returning from Port Harcourt in the Niger Delta. Overall, a total of 25 priests and seminarians were kidnapped in Nigeria in 2023. 12 priests and religious. What is 12 priests and religious? 12 priests and religious what? 12 priests and religious were kidnapped in 2024, all of whom were eventually released. A further 3 priests were kidnapped in previous years and remain missing, with no confirmation of their release or death. This include Father Joseph Bako, Father Iguagu, Christopher Agide. The situation further deteriorated in 2025, blah, blah, blah. 12 listeners have been kidnapped, blah, 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 blah. These are the... Let me not keep reading. Okay? So this is the report from the ACIN, which, as you can see, these church leaders refuse to cite. They refuse to cite the ACIN's report. They refuse to cite the Inter-Society report. They refuse to cite any of that. Instead, they are echoing the talking points from an Al Jazeera article. From many Al Jazeera articles, by the way. That is what they choose to do. They ignore what their own Catholic researchers, what they have found out. They ignore that. What Reverend Fathers and what other Catholic priests on the ground are saying, they ignore all of that. Instead, the Bishop of the Sokoto Diocese went to Rome to say, oh, you see, despite all of this, can we really call this genocide? I mean, the Sultan gave me a jeep, ladies and gentlemen. The Sultan gave me a jeep, so this is proof that, all the things that are being said is not actually happening. And this is more reports from the Catholic Church. This is from the Catholic Register. Christian genocide feared in Nigeria. Murdered priests, latest in a long list of offenses against the church. Right? Said, the church in Nigeria, ravaged by kidnappings of clergy, is mourning Father Matthew Eya, killed on September 19 as he was returning to his parish in Enugu State. In what looked like execution-style murder, the attacker, riding on a motorcycle, intercepted the priest's vehicle near the site of a hospital construction site, first shooting at the tire to stop the car, and then killing the Reverend Father at close range. The state police said that it has arrested 38 suspects in connection with the killing. Meanwhile, after several years in captivity, Father Wilfred Izemba, who is serving at St. Paul Parish in this area in Kogi State, regained his freedom on September 16. The priest was kidnapped on September 12. 2 other parishioners who were kidnapped alongside the priest were also released. 2 people have been arrested. The kidnapping and killing reflect the broader issue of Christian persecution in Nigeria. This person, that's the director of the Catholic-inspired NGO, Inter-Society. Do you see that Inter-Society is a Catholic-inspired NGO? Raised concerns about the cases of kidnappings and killings of Catholic clergy are not properly investigated by the Nigerian authorities. He suggested that the priest might have on religious ground as suspected Fulani headers he suggested that the priest might have been assassinated on religious grounds and suspected Fulani headers to be behind the killing because jihadist Fulani headsmen have been running amok in Enugu. Now, Enugu State, by the way, is in the southeast. So these people are already operating in the southeast. The recent kidnappings and killings aren't isolated incidents. They are part of a broader system of Christian persecution in Nigeria, according to the director of Inter Society. The director said that the number may have been much higher, and that he is aware of 250 Catholic priests who have been kidnapped in Nigeria since 2015. At least 350 clerics from other denominations have been taken within the same time frame, he added. Kidnapping in Nigeria has become what the Bishop Matthew Hassan Kuka of Sokoto called oh, here is Kuka, not Kuka. Here is Matthew Hassan Kuka again of Sokoto, calling it a criminal industrial complex that generates millions of dollars in revenue. You know. And there you have it. Another report from the here is another one from the Catholic Church. This is Association of Catholic Information in Africa, another Catholic organization. And here is their report, and they are citing from Inter Society, of course. Over 7,000 Christians massacred in Nigeria by jihadists in 7 months. We've already seen that report. Here is a broader explanation of broader reporting on that. This is from Newsweek. You know, there's a part of what was being said in this report that I want to read. I don't want to read everything. It's a part I want to read. Looks like I'll have to read everything because the part I want to read, I'm not. Okay, here's the part. Nigeria has this part. Nigeria has long been an epicenter of Christian persecution, with more Christians killed for their faith in Nigeria than in the rest of the world combined, according to human rights organization Open Door, which monitors the persecution of Christians around the globe. The violence have displaced at least 12 million Christians since 2009, according to Inter Society. That year marked the start of Boko Haram's insurgency to establish a caliphate in Nigeria and the broader Sahel. In the 16 years since, Inter Society estimates that 189,000 civilians have been killed, 125 of whom were Christians, and 60,000 liberal Muslims. This is the figure we have based on research that has been carried out by the Inter Society. All the claims that we've had that the number of Muslims are more than the number of Christians are based on only God knows what. Who has carried out this investigation? Who has come down? Who based on what are these statements being made? These claims of more Muslims have been killed by Christians, based on what? They cite nothing. They just come out and say whatever. But here we have people who have gone on the ground and have collected enough data, and this is the conclusion that they are coming with, that over 125 Christians have been killed and over 60,000 liberal Muslims have been killed. Here is another one that will shock you. Guess who made this statement? This is still from the same Catholic Church. This is Bishop Kuka. I just wanted to read this headline. Again, this is from Aid to the Church in Need, the ACN or ACIN, Aid to the Church in Need International. And here is what Bishop Kuka said. Genocide is happening in Nigeria. He made this statement in 2020, but now in 2025, he's like, can we actually use... they gave me a Prado Jeep. So, an SUV, a Prado SUV Prada SUV was given to me by the Sultan of Sokoto. So can we really say that this is genocide? And someone on Twitter who writes for Catholic World Report, which is another Catholic organization that reports on the killing of Christians. Okay, that is what is frustrating. Even for many Catholics, they are frustrated by this statement because they're like, come on, what is the church saying? I know I can be harsh on Christians, on Catholics when I'm angry with them, but the truth is many of them are the ones who are even countering this narrative. But then, what power do they have? Now, this is Carl Olsen, and he's an editor for Catholic World Report. Okay? Catholic World Report is a Catholic publication that publishes news of what is happening to Catholics around the world and other news stories like that. And this is what he said. He said, this is embarrassing, insulting, angering, and worse. Meanwhile, over at Catholic World Report, where I am an editor, we've had the following pieces, almost all from the last year, and most by correspondence in and near Nigeria. So he's saying, look, my organization, we have reported this. These are the headlines we've reported, and these are reports that come from within Nigeria. He said, Catholic bishop addresses the evil of Islamist extremists at Interfaith Summit. Nigerian Catholics address reason behind ongoing violence. Nigerian prelate calls for end of country's Islamic-driven culture of death. Jihadism, food crisis are undermining reception of the gospel in Nigeria. Bishop Anage, in DC testimony, warns of Islamic agenda to homogenize Nigerians. Jihadist violence have reshaped society and the Catholic Church in Nigeria. Massacre in Nigeria follows Bishop's U.S. testimony on Christian persecution. Up to 2,200 displaced Nigerian Christians killed in worst attack yet. That's June 15, 2025. Church leaders, it's time for Nigerian Christians to defend themselves. July 6, 2025. What is happening to Christianity in Nigeria? What is happening to Christianity in Nigeria is incomprehensible. July 8, 2025. Report states an average of 30 Christians murdered each day in Nigeria in 2025. August 12, 2025. Christian persecution in Nigeria. 1,200 churches destroyed annually. Hundreds killed. September 25, 2025. These are reports. And he's an editor, so these are reports from Catholic World Reports. But of course, when it's time to make official statements, the Secretary of State of the Holy See is going to regurgitate propaganda from Al Jazeera, because that is a more credible source of information than the Catholic Church itself. You know. You know what is even frustrating? What is more frustrating? Here is a Muslim from the United Arab Emirates. Here is a tweet from a Muslim from the United Arab Emirates. This is what I find really frustrating, especially when you look at what the Catholic Church is saying. That's why it is really disgraceful what they are doing, and really angering and unbelievable what they are doing. Here is what this is a political analyst from the United Arab Emirates, passionate about youth and cultural affairs. This is from the United Arab Emirates, and here is what he said. Nigeria is enjoying a campaign of ethnic and religious cleansing. Christian families are being slaughtered in their homes. Churches are reduced to ashes. And children are executed for their prayers. These attackers act with conviction born from an ideology that spreads through borders, linking groups like Boko Haram to the same Islamic current that once inspired the doctrine of the Muslim Brotherhood. It is an ideology that hides behind faith while preaching domination and erasure. The killings are methodical. The targets are chosen. Villages vanish under the same banner of fanaticism that has stained our region, other regions, in fire. Boko Haram leaders have long echoed the same language of religious conquest that drive the Muslim Brotherhood's global network, replacing worship with warfare and unity with fear. The silence of the world gives strength to those. The silence of the world gives strength to those forces that feed on indifference and strive in chaos. The Christians of Nigeria are people of peace. They build, they teach, they farm, they worship. Their resilience stands against the destruction that seeks to silence them. Each burnt church speaks of courage. Each massacre reveals the world's failure to protect the innocent. The defense of Nigerian Christians is the defense of human dignity itself. Their right to live in peace is justice in its purest form. Every leader, every nation, and every conscience must rise before another generation's blood. Every leader, every nation, and every conscience must rise before another generation's blood darkens the soil of a land that once prayed in harmony. Even a Muslim from the United Arab Emirates can recognize what is happening in Nigeria and can speak boldly about it and raise awareness about what is happening in Nigeria. Yet you have a bishop from Sokoto, and you have the Secretary of State of the Holy See, this cardinal from Rome, and bishop from Sokoto cannot make the same bold, clear, unequivocal statement that condemns what is happening to Christians in Nigeria. Why? Because somebody gave somebody a Prada SUV. This is Nigeria, ladies and gentlemen. I want to appreciate this person's username is Pope John Balls. People denying it are just naive. The Yorubas fought Islamists for hundreds of years, largely due to their expansionist and genocidal ideology. Many of them are not. See, the truth is many of the people who are denying this, especially when it comes to the Bishop Kuka. Bishop Kuka is not naive. Bishop Kuka is not ignorant. Bishop Kuka is not unaware. Bishop Kuka knows that he is lying. He knows that he is lying. And there is a reason why he's lying. He's lying because his conscience has been corrupted by gifts from this current administration. That is why he's saying what he's saying. He's softening his rhetoric because somebody has paid him. He has been paid off. Somebody gave him an appointment, and that was all it took for him to say, actually, there is no genocide in Nigeria. Actually, there is no ethnic cleansing of Christians in Nigeria. Actually, the persecution of Nigeria things are getting better. There is an improvement, ladies and gentlemen. Things are improving because some Christians now have political appointments. That is how you know things are improving. And to designate Nigeria as a country of particular concern is going to hamper this progress. Why? How is this going to hamper the progress? He doesn't state. It's just going to happen. It's just going to happen that the progress that has been made, or by progress, it means the appointment I have received may go. I may no longer become the pro-chancellor of Kaduna State University or Cardinal University. If you guys designate Nigeria as a country of particular concern, that is the condition upon which I was appointed. And imagine what will happen if I lose that appointment. That is regression. That is Nigeria going backwards. You can kill Christians. You can massacre Christians. Massacring of Christians can be going on. Christians can be persecuted. There are laws can be put in place that treat Christians in the north as dhimmis, essentially. Force girls, Christian girls who are going to government schools to wear the hijab. They'll be forced to wear the hijab. They'll be forced to participate in Muslim prayers. They'll be forced to do all these things. Christian churches cannot even build new structures. They cannot be given permission to build new structures. Lands cannot be sold to them. Christians in this area will not even be able to get government appointment or even get a job in the labor market in northern Nigeria. Lands will be stolen from them. Their women will be raped and killed, adopted, kidnapped. Their priests will be kidnapped. Their churches will be burned to ashes. All of that can be going on. But if you give Bishop Kuka a government appointment, once you give him a government appointment, there is no genocide. That is proof. I mean, look at him. He's going about northern Nigeria without fear for his security. This is just unfortunate. This is just unfortunate. Now, why all of this is going on? You see, this is the thing that is very frustrating about the whole thing. That's why all of this is going on. Why all these lies are going on. Why you now have religious organizations that are now willingly participating in the lies spread by the Nigerian government. Why all of that is going on, here is the reality. Why all the lies are being spread on social, here is the reality. It's being spread in the media. Here is the reality. This is the reality, ladies and gentlemen. The reality is that Benue Plateau State killing, Boko Haram has insurgents, has led to in Plateau State again, over 100 people were massacred in the last 2 weeks. This is a report from April. Houses have been burnt. Blah, 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 blah. There's a part that I'm looking for here. Governor Muftwang. This is a statement from the governor of Benue State. 64 communities in his state have been taken over and renamed by terrorists. 64 communities in Benue State have been taken over, occupied, and renamed by Fulani terrorists. Why we are wondering, should we call it a genocide or should we not call it a genocide? Why we are having that debate, which is very crucial, according to Bishop Kuka. This is just from yesterday, right? This is from yesterday. From yesterday, bandits or just terrorists stormed the Cardinal hospital and kidnapped a doctor and 5 patients. This just happened yesterday. This is just yesterday. Well, we are still on that matter. Well, we are still wondering, should we call this a genocide or not? What does it mean? Define genocide. In Kwara State, which has now come under serious attack from this one is not even from Fulani headers. This is from ISWAP. ISWAP are now operating in Kwara State. Okay? ISWAP are now operating in Kwara State. And because of that, over 45 public schools have been closed because of bandit attacks. Of course, by bandits, they mean terrorists. This is happening in Kwara State. While we are still on the matter, discussing, what exactly is going on in Nigeria. What do you call it? While we are still, discussing terminologies, denying obvious realities. Terrorists attack INEC team in Kogi State. This is in Kogi State. And 3 INEC officials, government officials, that, the INEC is Independent National Electoral Commission. It is the body in charge of elections in Nigeria. And terrorists have kidnapped 3 of the officials in Kogi State. While we are still wondering, what do we call this? What do we call this? While we are still wondering all of that, a report has been released by the DSS. A report has been released by the DSS that there is plans by Islamic State West African province to attack Ondo and Kogi State. Ondo and Kogi State are far from the north. Ondo State is in the southwest, the southwestern part of Nigeria. What is a terrorist organization that originated in the northeast? A terrorist organization that has its origin from the northeastern part of Nigeria, the far northeast. What are they doing in the northwest? If this is not an attack on Christians, what take them away from the majority Muslim area of the northeast to the southwest that is majority Christian? And now there is warning that they are about to attack this area. And I don't even understand why the DSS is like, oh, this is about to happen. What is your job as the defense? For people who don't know what the DSS is, Department of State Services. And they have alerted the Nigerian army of an alleged ploy by members of the Islamic State of West Africa to launch coordinated attacks on communities in Ondo and Kogi states. 2 states in Nigeria that are Ondo State is majority Christian. For the Yorubas that are always tribalistic when it has to do with this, those that will want to ignore what is happening in the country because Tinubu is president, ISWAP is coming for you. They have started in Kwara. They are going down to Ondo. Very soon, if people continue and your government continue to do what they are doing, very soon they will reach Lagos. Lagos is the pride of the southwest. We have Lagos. Very soon they will reach Lagos. Everybody should just keep turning a blind eye. They will reach Lagos. Don't worry. They're already in Enugu State. Okay? They're already in Enugu State, but they will soon reach Lagos. Let's all keep pretending like this is not a coordinated attack aimed at eliminating the Christian, subjugating and eliminating the Christian population in this country, bringing them under Sharia, installing Sharia, essentially establishing a caliphate in this part of the world. That is their goal. Let's all pretend, because Tinubu is president, and according to Bishop Kuka, The Sultan of Sokoto gave him Prada SUV. You know. In addition to all of this, you know, what has the Nigerian government done in light of all this that is happening, and all this that is coming to light, and all these reports that has to do with what is happening in Nigeria? What has the Nigerian government done besides giving Prada SUVs to bishops? What have they done? Well, what they've done is that they've decided to counter the narrative. Okay, that is what is important to the government. Counter the narrative. Okay, they want to go out there and let the world know that this is not happening, because that is what is more important. And yet they are countering the narrative.
Terrorist group, you have designated Nigeria as a country of particular concern, which came with sanctions. Well, when the Biden administration came along, Anthony Blinken lifted that designation. He said these murders were being committed because of climate change. So that's why you see now Ted Cruz and 35 Christians saying, wait, we need to redesignate Nigeria as a country of particular concern. It's a bloodbath. It's a genocide.
It does seem like if this were happening to somebody else, you would see it on the front page of the New York Times, the front page of the Washington Post every day. Why isn't it?
Well, I think because A, it's Africa, and we just don't cover Africa the way we should. And B, for whatever reason, Islamic terrorism is just not covered. And when you look closely, 22 Islamic terrorist groups, including Boko Haram and others, have safe haven and have a safe quarter in Nigeria. Now, here's a little news. I was told this last week.
Now, here's the little news. This is why I put this clip, because I want you to hear this news. This is news from Fox News. This is breaking on Fox News. Okay, here is the news, and I want you to pay attention.
Now, here's a little news. I was told this last week. There is a group of Nigerian legislators coming to Washington this week trying to petition the Trump administration and Congress from designating their country as a one of particular concern.
That's what lawmakers in Nigeria are doing. That is what the Nigerian government is doing. That is the goal. Is it to fight terrorism? No. Is it to fight what is happening? Is to do something to end the persecution of Christians? No. Are they doing any of that? No. What are they focusing on? Going to the United States to petition the government not to designate Nigeria as a country of particular concern. That is what is important to them. That's what is important to them. Recently, CAN, the Christian Association of Nigeria, to their credit, released a statement saying that what the government have been saying that they said is a lie. You know, there have been reports that CAN is kind of debunks the claim that there is a genocide of Christians in Nigeria. And CAN has come out to say, no, we did not debunk anything. And this is a statement from the Christian Association of Nigeria has accused the presidency of twisting facts and misrepresenting its position on the ongoing killings of Christians across the country, insisting that what is happening in several parts of Nigeria and the Middle Belt amounts to a Christian genocide. In a statement issued by its president, Archbishop Daniel Oko, of course, this Archbishop has not received an SUV, that's why. Archbishop Daniel Oko clarifies that he did not at any point dismiss or describe the widespread killing as a so-called Christian genocide, as claimed in a press release reportedly issued by Barrister Daniel Bwala, special advisor to the president on media and policy communication. According to the statement, the controversy following Bwala's visit to the CAN secretariat at the National Christian Center, Abuja, on Monday, during which he sought to understand CAN's position on remarks made by the United States Senator Ted Cruz, who described the persistent killing of Christians in Nigeria as a Christian genocide. CAN made it clear that his position on the issue has long been established and remains unchanged. Across many parts of northern Nigeria and the Middle Belt, Christian communities have suffered repeated organized and brutal attacks which have left thousands dead, villages destroyed, and families displaced. These are not isolated crimes, but a continued pattern of violence that has persisted for years without justice or closure, the CAN president said. So that is that from CAN. And here is Bwala or Bala. Yeah. Responding to what CAN has said.
To be honest, I was dead surprised. All of our meetings have been productive. As a matter of fact, when we went to them, we went knowing already what their position is. And we told them from the beginning, we have not come to change your position. As a government, we come to engage. We come to tell you what the position of the government is, the effort the government is making, and to take from you whatever frustration, challenges, or expectation that you have. Now, when we release this information, I personally send them to them. The secretary now sent a communication to me suggesting that they were not comfortable with that. I put a call through immediately. And I established to them that I have sent you the entire report of what transpired. He acknowledged. I even sent a video that captured everything you said. He acknowledged. He now said the problem they had is with the construction of that so-called genocide.
Right. They were, in case for those who did not understand, this person released a report saying that Khan described the statement as so-called genocide. Now, the phrasing, so-called genocide, kind of suggests that these people are dismissing the genocide of Christians in Nigeria. And Khan released a statement and said, we did not call it so-called genocide. We agree that indeed there is genocide in Nigeria. You twisted the statements that we made when we had a meeting with officials from the federal government. That is kind of the claim that is being made here. You twisted our statement. You twisted it. The response of the person, the twister in chief, this guy, his response is, well, when I wrote it, I sent it to them, and they said they have a problem with how I'm phrasing their statement. And he's like, okay, thus far, what is your point?
Then he appreciated the fact that I called and I engaged.
Yes, and still went ahead to lie. You called them, you engaged with them, and went ahead to lie and twist their statement, even when they told you that the way you are representing what they said does not convey exactly what they have said about the situation. You lied. They pointed out that they are not in agreement with how you are framing their statement, and you are like, well, they acknowledged, and then I went ahead and I published the lie, and as if that's not supposed to be a problem.
And we ended the call like that. Nowhere have they told me they were going to issue.
Yeah, but they
didn't tell you they were going to issue a statement because they didn't think you were going to lie in their name. You went and lied in the name of the Christian Association of Nigeria because you are doing everything within your power to let this accusation go away. And Khan is saying, don't lie about and put something in our mouths that we did not say. That is the point. Did you or did you not say that Khan called the genocide in Nigeria so-called? Did you use that phrasing, yes or no? If the answer is yes, then you lied. You said something that they did not say. Did they call it so-called genocide? Yes or no?
Did they use the term so-called genocide?
No, the chairman never said that.
So the chairman never said so-called genocide. But you put those words in the mouth of the chairman. And here you are on TV trying to defend what exactly? What exactly is your defense? It's just the words to just keep coming out of your mouth. Liars. All of them liars.
Right.
I am saying
because the press release suggests that he did.
So if that's that, with apologies.
Right.
But our position is quite clear.
Right.
We as a government maintain the narrative that there is a Christian genocide is so-called because it is not the truth.
So it is the statement of the government, not the statement of Khan.
False. It is agenda-based, and we know that our problem is not even with the Christian community in Nigeria. They were not the ones that sparked the conversation. It is from America. I went to France, and we're going all over the world to...
Yeah, I know people are going all over the world. You people would rather... You see, the current administration is so fantastic. Instead of all that money that you people are using to burn aviation fuel, going from one country to another, going to the US, if you people take the energy you guys have asserted or spent in trying to dispel the right and correct accusation that you guys are complicit while a genocide is going on in your country. If you guys use that same energy to actually fight the insecurity in Nigeria, this problem will be gone in less than 6 months. If you guys just, all the energy you are using to go from one country to another, shamelessly, parading yourself from one country to another, from one media house to another, from one place to another, releasing one statement to another, going to Rome, going everywhere to lie, giving people Prada jeeps so that they can lie. And giving them political appointments so that they can lie. All the energy the current administration is using to lie. If they can just use that same energy, that same effort, that same political will that they have for lying, that penchant, that strong penchant for just lying that they have, if they can just rechannel it in actually fixing the problem, Nigeria will be the greatest nation on the planet.
counter this disinformation. We know it's fake.
Yes, it's proof that the claim that there's a genocide in Nigeria is disinformation. Here is his proof. He's about to give you his proof that this is disinformation, misinformation, fake news, a lie, an agenda-based whatever. What is the agenda? I don't know, but we'll see.
News and all of that. And we are basing on fact. The other time I debunk the premise on Ted Cruz's position, he relied on a report by an organization called Civil Liberties. That Civil Liberties report never mentioned at all the killings in the Southeast by IPOB. The same with this report.
Do you see how stupid this guy is? He said, oh, they did not mention IPOB killings in southeastern part of Nigeria. What has that to do with the genocide? Did IPOB, I don't even understand, did the independent people of Biafra, the movement for an independent Biafra state, the separatist movement in the southeastern part of the country, do they kill people because of their religion? Are they religious based? Are they ethnic or religious based? The killings that is carried out by IPOB, which is insignificant, very insignificant compared to what is happening in the north, and which has been dealt with by the full force of the Nigerian military. The last time IPOB tried to do something, Nigerian government did Operation Python dance. Military men, the army, battalions. What will I call them? Troops. Nigerian troops. We are deployed to the southeast. Every inch of Nigeria had checkpoints. Every inch of the road in southeastern Nigeria had military checkpoints. There was military, as in the heavy presence of the military in the southeast was tripled to fight people who have done nothing compared to what is happening in the northeast, in the north central, in the middle belt, and now in part of the southwest. That is what happened. And you're like, they didn't mention IPOB. But how did you guys respond to IPOB? Operation Python dance. You people deployed thousands of Nigerian troops to the southeast. Mount checkpoints on every corner of the streets of southeastern Nigeria. That is the response. But nothing like that is seen in the north. If there is a rumor in Nigeria tomorrow, just a rumor that IPOB is about to organize a protest, a rally, an event, whatever it is, if there is rumor of it, just rumor, there's going to be, like, troops will be deployed to the southeastern part of the country. There will be heavy military presence. The average southeasterner is going to be walking down the street and will see multiple helicopters, military helicopters, passing over his head. That is what is going to happen in the southeast. But in the north, there will be rumor, in fact, not just rumor, but credible, reliable information that Fulanis are about to attack. And you will see zero military presence, presence of even the police. No military agencies and security agencies will not be present. And you're like, they didn't mention IPOB. That is my proof that these people, that's how I debunked them. One of the most abused words in Nigeria, debunk. It's like the morons that use that word, I'm very sure corruption has affected their brain and their ability to understand what words mean. By shouting debunked does not mean something has been debunked.
That they are relying on. There is no reference to IPOB, and killings in IPOB were downplayed.
Very foolish individual. As in very, very foolish individual.
It would have made sense if you say trivializing killings and insecurity. That means you are abusing the sensitivity of Nigerians. Then if we had said so, we will feel bad about that, which we never did. But if it is because we said the so-called Christian genocide, I want to say for the opt-in time, I still maintain the narrative that there is a Christian genocide is is false, misleading, agenda-based, and tended towards destroying this country. So
to be honest with you,
yes, the people that have been killing Christians and killing even Muslims and have been causing insecurity in Nigeria, they're not the ones destroying the country. Okay, they are not the ones destroying the country. Those destroying the country are those talking about it, those mentioning it, those bringing the world's attention to it. Those are the people that are trying to destroy the country. what a waste of breath that this human being is. As in, you know, to his credit, there's one thing that this man said that I agree with. I want to show you guys that thing. This is the man, and this is one statement that he made that I agree with. This statement was made on 25th of November 2022. He said, "The human brain is unique and miraculous. It works and functions optically 24 hours a day, 365 days a year. Until you join APC, then it stops working." And for those who don't know, this guy has joined APC, and so his brain has stopped working. He's a member of the current administration. He's now part of APC. And what he said in 2022 is still true today. He has joined APC, the ruling party in Nigeria, and his brain has stopped working. Clearly. You know, you can always go back to the past of Nigerian politicians to see nuggets of truth. Then you have this organization in Nigeria. And they said that 200 churches have been destroyed, but 6,000 mosques has been destroyed in the north, according to Muslim Rights Concern, Murik. So here is the Muslim Rights Concern has accused Nigerian Christian leaders of using the United States as a tool of intimidation to pressure the federal government and marginalize Muslims in the country. Can you imagine? In a statement on Tuesday by its executive director, Professor Ishaq Akintoye, the Islamic human rights group alleged that the reports of Christian genocide in Nigeria was surprisingly sent to the US by some leaders back home. Oh, so it's not coming from Ted Cruz, it's coming from Nigerians who sent the reports abroad. Okay, good to know. This, he noted, is because the US is perceived as a Christian superpower rather than to African institutions such as the African Union or ECOWAS, or because they know that the African Union or ECOWAS will not help, but the United States might help. According to Murik, the move reveals a deep agenda of neo-imperial domination and religious favoritism aimed at securing. Sorry, let me read that sentence again. According to Murik, the move reveals a deeper agenda of neo-imperial domination and religious favoritism aimed at securing. What is securing? Let me read it again. According to Murik, the move reveals a deep agenda of neo-imperial domination and religious favoritism aimed at securing undue advantages for Christians. Yes, we Christians are trying to secure undue advantages. You know, despite the fact that in the north, Christians cannot even build new church buildings. Despite the fact that in the north, Christians are discriminated against in, political appointments and what have you. Despite the fact that in the north, Christian girls are being kidnapped and raped. Despite the fact that in the north, Christian girls going to public schools are forced to wear hijabs. Despite the news of forced conversion going on among Christian girls in northern Nigeria. Despite all of that, any person raising the awareness of the world to what is happening in northern Nigeria is doing so. Why are they doing so? They are doing so because they want to curry undue advantage. They want undue advantages for Christians. Of course, Christians getting to the Muslim mind. Okay, to the Muslim mind, Christians getting any kind of advantage whatsoever, any form of advantage gotten by Christians is undue. Okay, to the Muslim mind, it is undue advantage. We have found the following controversy over the allegation that only Christians. Nobody said only Christians. You see, that is what we call Murik. I know many of you in that organization didn't go to school. The only form of education you guys have ever received in your pathetic existence is Islamic education, which is poor, abysmal, ridiculous, to say the least. So when you say but let me educate you guys. When you make statements like the allegation is that only Christians are being killed in Nigeria, that's called creating a straw man. Nobody is saying only Christians are being killed in Nigeria. Okay, I know it's hard to understand for you guys. Okay, I know, I understand. I understand your intellectual disability. I understand that, but let me help you. Oh, let me give you a clutch so that people's brain can lean on it and understand something small. When we say there's a genocide of Christians in Nigeria, we are not claiming that only Christians are being killed. We are saying that the killings are targeted primarily at Christians. Okay? A group that want to genocide Christians may also want to genocide other groups. The fact that they want to genocide other groups does not negate the fact that they also want to genocide Christians. Okay, let's say I want to genocide Christians and munafiks. Okay, hypocrites according to the Quran. Let's say I want to genocide munafiks and Christians. The fact that I also kill munafiks doesn't negate the fact that I was also aiming at killing Christians as well. Does that help? Does that help, Murik? Does that help? Anyways, Nigerian Muslims also suffer killings, often in larger numbers. Yeah, according to what are the larger numbers? 6,000 mosques. God. Of course, what is without lies, Islam dies. So of course, what is Islam without lies? It is not surprise. What is surprise is when I see the Catholic Church lying. But when I see a Muslim lying, I mean, I'm like, you're speaking your native language. I mean, you follow a prophet that is a pathological liar. So I mean, what can be expected? Akitoye argued that both Christians and Muslims have been victims of terrorism, noting that criminal groups often target crowded places such as churches and mosques. This explains why the main victims in Christian concentrated states like Benue and Plateau are Christians, while those in Muslim areas like Sokoto and Zamfara are Muslims. You are a liar, and the devil is your father. Even in Christian-dominated areas like Sokoto and Zamfara, most of the people being targeted are Christians. When Boko Haram went to Chibok, the girls that were kidnapped were Christians. Majority of them were Christians. Yes, some Muslims were also kidnapped, but majority of those girls were Christians. And Boko Haram knew that if they go to Chibok, they will get majority Christian girls. They know that when they go to IDP camps, they will find Christian girls. They know where Christian girls are in northern Nigeria, and they go there. Yes, some Muslims are caught up in this or get attacked as by virtue of this, because of course when you are living in a place that is predominantly Muslim, yes, one or two Muslims are going to fall victim to this, but the target are Christians. That they are targeting Christians. The best way to debunk this is just to demonstrate that even in Muslim majority areas of this country, the people who are being targeted are Christians. Majority of them are Christians. So spare me the burning mosque also. Spare me all of that. And many of the mosques that are being attacked because the preachers in the mosques and those attending those mosques are liberal Muslims, are Muslims who don't believe in jihad. Are Muslims who think that Islam is not about, it's not about jihad, it's not about killings, it's just, live and let live. Those imams and people who attend those mosques are also targeted. There is nobody denying that. The fact that munafiks are also are also victims of these attacks do not negate the fact that they are trying to genocide Christians. Murik further alleged that Muslims in southern Nigeria suffer systemic marginalization. Oh, you are a liar. I think everything here is just lies. Everything is just lies. Southern Muslims do not suffer marginalization. They do not. You know that, and you are lying. The current let me just show you proof of this. That these people are lying. The commissioner of police for Enugu State, is Maman Bitrus Giwa. That's the commissioner of police, Maman PSC. Now let's see who this guy is. Who is this person? This is not what I want to. The point I'm trying to make here, I actually is that Any person can tell, any Nigerian can tell actually, from the name of this person, Maman Bitrus Giwa, that this person is not a Southerner. This name is a Northern name. This person is a Northerner. Imagine that the police force in Nigeria, in Enugu State, a southeastern state in Nigeria, the head of the police force in a southeastern state in Nigeria is a Northerner. Most likely a Muslim. But this person is a Northerner. The former one was Ahmed Amani. The former chief of, what is it called? CP is what now? I think commissioner of police, I guess. Commissioner of police. The former commissioner of police in Enugu State in 2023 was Ahmed Amani, or before 2023. From the name Ahmed Amani, you can see that these are Northerners. Give me an example from the north of an Igbo man or a Yoruba man that is commissioner of police in a northern state. Give me one example of that. But in an eastern state, you have somebody from the north being commissioner of police, and this person, the person who wrote this nonsense, is telling us that Southern Muslims are also being discriminated against in the south. Such arrant nonsense. Such arrant nonsense. Meanwhile, we also have the Nigerian presidency is accuses U.S. lawmakers of orchestrating anti-Nigeria agenda, and of course, that's from this guy, Daniel Baola, however his name is pronounced. It's an anti-Nigerian agenda. There is an anti-Nigerian agenda going on, being orchestrated by U.S. lawmakers, of course. And we have the CDS giving a statement that those who are pushing this agenda in Nigeria are enemies of Nigeria. Those undermining Nigeria's unity are enemy of the state, according to Chief of Defense Staff, General Christopher Musa. I guess this is one of the Christians that we are appointed by. One of the Christians appointed by Tinubu. And as you can see, because he's a Christian, this is proof. According to Kuka, this is the proof that, the Nigerian government is on the situation, because Christopher Musa is a Chief of Defense Staff. And as Chief of Defense Staff, he has released a statement that any person who is releasing rhetorics online to undermine the unity of this great country is an enemy of Nigeria. The Boko Haram terrorists, they are not the problem. The Fulani headsmen, they are not the problem. The Nigerian military that are complicit while these attacks are going on, the police force, all the security agencies that watch as this is going on, they are not the problem. Many of them that even leave communities, they follow residents of communities being attacked in fleeing. Okay? Resident of a community is running away from Fulani headsmen. The police is also running away with them. All of them are not enemy of Nigeria. Okay? The enemy of Nigeria are those who are pointing to what is happening and say, look at what is happening over here. We are the enemies of Nigeria, according to this very good Christian, of course. And then you have the Minister of Foreign Affairs in Abu Dhabi saying that the claim of genocide is false and it threatens Nigeria's global image. Yeah, that's the only thing you are concerned about. The Foreign Minister, Yusuf Tuga, has strongly refuted claims circulating in some Western media outlets alleging a Christian genocide in Nigeria, describing them as gross misrepresentation of the country's complex reality. Yeah, it is very complex. It's super complex. It is, oh my goodness. It is as complex can be. Speaking at the Reuters NEST Gulf Summit in Abu Dhabi on Tuesday, Tuga said the spread of such claims is one of the major challenges Nigeria currently faces on the global stage. Yeah, the major challenge that Nigeria is facing in the global stage is not that Boko Haram and ISIS, international organizations, and even other organizations that are being funded by Iran is operating in the country. That is not a global problem. It's not a global challenge. The global challenge for Nigeria is the fact that Senator Ted Cruz is noticing what is happening in the country and talking about it. That is the real problem. ladies and gentlemen. And here you have the Sultan of Sokoto, the great Sultan of, the guy that gave the jeep to Kuka. He said, there is no Christian genocide in the north, according to the Sultan. Yeah, he is. Here's the Sultan of Sokoto. Telling us that there is no... After I gave a Prada SUV to Kuka, you can't tell me that there's a Christian genocide in the north. I just solved the Christian genocide problem by giving the Bishop of Sokoto gifts, by giving him gifts. In addition to that, earlier this year, he has said that... just to show you how serious this human being is. He said social media is a terrorist organization and must be stopped. Yeah, this is the Sultan of Sokoto. This is the same Sultan of Sokoto that said that jihad means to strive for excellence. And that's the meaning of jihad, is strive for excellence. When you are striving for excellence by chopping the heads of Christians, kidnapping Christian girls and forcefully converting them or raping them, when you are doing that, you are striving for excellence. The Islamic way, of course. Yeah. And now the person who said, just so that we understand who this man is, so there's no confusion about the kind of person we are dealing with. Here he is. Here he is on July 2011, just 2 years after Boko Haram became a major concern, a major security concern in Nigeria. He said that a military crackdown on Boko Haram, he condemned it. He condemned it, said that the Nigerian government should not fight Boko Haram through military intervention, that military intervention is not the way to go. He condemned it. The same person who condemned it is telling us that social media is a terrorist organization. Twitter is the new Taliban, according to the Sultan of Sokoto, the Prada SUV gifter. Brethren, men and brethren, men and brethren, I hope I've been able to demonstrate to you guys just how deceptive these people are. And how unfortunate it is that you have now leaders in the Catholic Church joining in this lie. It is so unfortunate. It is so unfortunate. I am heartbroken to see what someone like Kuka is saying, to see what someone like, what's the name of the Secretary of State of the Holy See? What's that his name? Holy See. To see what someone like that, I think it's Parolin or whatever his name is called. Yeah, Parolin. To see, it is really heartbreaking. It is really, really heartbreaking. You understand? This is part of the reason. Honestly, this is one of the reasons why, for me to become a Catholic is going to be miraculous. It's going to be a miracle because, if a Protestant pastor comes out and says there is no genocide of Christians in Nigeria, nobody will take him seriously. In fact, in this country, let me tell you the truth, many Protestant pastors don't even have clout or authority. That's why many of them are not even, people are not even listening to many of them, though many of them are calling out what is happening. But when somebody who has authority in the Catholic Church, somebody who, people who claim to, this our church started from Peter and all whatnot. We are the true, church that has been this 2,000 years old, and all the claims that the Catholic Church make, all of that. People who make that claim and cling to such kind of authority, earthly authority, divine authority that has been bestowed upon them by Jesus, and then to Peter, and then to the rest of them in unbroken succession. When people like that make that claim, it is different than when some random Protestant pastor or priest or bishop makes the same claim. It is different. And that is a known fact. It's just unfortunate. It's just unfortunate. It is really, really unfortunate. When it comes to Gaza, it is likelihood that this is a genocide. You hear it from Francis. You hear it from Leo XVI. right? But when it comes to Nigeria, it's like, oh, it's not genocide. It is social conflict. Can you imagine? Social conflict. That is what the Secretary of State of Rome, of the Vatican said. That this is just social conflict. Social conflict. Despite what your own priests in your own church have been saying for years about this, despite what your own publications have been reporting about this, you're going to go out there and you regurgitate propaganda from Al Jazeera. Shame on you. Shame on you, my noble, whatever. Your holiness or your righteousness, however you guys address, how is a cardinal addressed in the Catholic Church? Let me address him properly. Yeah, your eminence. Shame on you, your eminence. Shame on you. Big shame on you. You should bow down your head in shame and pain. You have brought huge disgrace. Huge disgrace to the body of Christ. Whether you are even Catholic or non-Catholic, this is a disgrace to the body of Christ. That somebody like that in such a position will go out and say something like that. Shame on you. Social conflict. Hey! Social conflict. So unfortunate. So unfortunate. That is why, at the end of the day, somebody is saying that I know I don't usually share links to some of the things that I cite. Maybe I would in the comments just give a list of the articles that I cite, or even share a document listing all the articles that I've cited, and even the videos that I've. Maybe I will also do that with the videos and show you where you can find them and watch them. I think I should be doing that, so that people will know, okay, this is where this is coming from. And they will see exactly what their pontiff and their eminence is saying. It's really unfortunate. It's really unfortunate. Anyways, how do I end this? The truth is, men will fail you. You see, this is why, like we that are non-Catholics, we believe in sola scriptura, and we believe that, human institutions can err, and they do err. And this is a clear example of them erring. Okay, to err is human at the end of the day. And there's one thing that does not err, and that is the word of God. The word of God does not err and cannot err. It is infallible. It is the infallible word of God. And it's not just infallible in the sense of, the Catholic Protestant conversation. It is infallible in the sense of Christianity versus the rest of the world conversation. There are many things that we as human beings hold dear and hold sacred. Some people, they may not admit it, but they hold their government to be sacred and to be powerful. If you ask them what are rights, they say rights are whatever the government recognizes as rights. You ask them what do you see as moral? Moral is what the government says is moral. They may not say it so, but exactly like the way I've just said it. But when you listen to their rationale and their reasoning, that is kind of where they are coming from. But there's something that does not fail and does not change. It determines what is good and what is noble and what is evil and despicable. And that is the word of God. And whoever you are, whether you believe in sola scriptura or not, whether you are Christian or not, God has called on all of us to submit to his word. That is the right way to live. That is the way to rise above error. That is the way to not be swayed by all the waves of error that are operational in the world, all the lies being spouted by every ideology you find on the planet. The way to keep yourself sane and keep yourself steady while all these lies are swirling around is by anchoring your life and anchoring your understanding of the word on something that does not fail, on something that is infallible, on something that is true forever. It is the word of God. And there is no greater personification of that than Jesus himself, who the scripture calls the very word of God. Okay? He is God and he is the word of God. And if you accept him into your life, he will keep you steady. He will reveal the truth to you, for he is the way, the truth, and the life. That is my closing statement, and I invite every one of you listening to me to come to Christ. Come to the truth. Come to what is infallible. Come to what is enduring. Come to what never fails. Men will fail. Institutions will fail. Even men of God will fail. But God will never fail. Come to Jesus. Come to Jesus. Come to the truth. Come to the truth. It will never fail. It will never put you to shame. Even the Catholic Church can put you to shame. But God will not put you to shame. You see, that is why God is greater than human institutions. And human institutions don't have the authority that God's word have. Because the word of God will never put you to shame. And those that put their trust in him, the scripture says, will never be put to shame. Okay? They will never be put to shame. And I invite you to come to Christ. I invite you to come to him that will never put you to shame. Him that will keep you steady. Him that will deliver you from every deception being released into the world by the devil and his agents. And to even Christians who submit their lips to the devil. God will deliver you from all of them. His word will deliver you from all of them. So give your life to him. And he will save you. He will also save you from the damnation that is to come. Because there is a damnation that is to come. God is going to judge the living and the dead. And no one can stand before his judgment. The only way you can stand, the only way you can escape God's wrath, you can escape God's judgment, if you are found in Christ Jesus. That is the only escape you have. So come to him, give your life to him, and you will escape the judgment that is to come. You will escape it. All right, guys, thank you all. It's been interesting and fun hanging out with you guys. Though I get to rant every once in a while and say ungodly things and insult my Christian leaders. Though I do that, I am not a perfect individual. Okay, don't even put your trust in me. And I know I've not been perfect in all of my live streams. Sometimes I just find myself just attacking people and sometimes you hear lies and you're like, my goodness, is this real? So I am not perfect, okay? I am as perfect as the Catholic Church. Okay? I'm as perfect as the Catholic Church right now, so bear with me. Anyways, thank you all. I really appreciate it. And I hope many of you have considered giving your life to Christ. And until we meet again, I'm going to leave you guys with this statement from Sean Nelson. I'm going to leave you guys with this statement from Sean Nelson. And I wish you all the best. Thank you all for hanging out with me. You guys are the best. I hope I'm about to end the live stream without acknowledging somebody who gave me a super. Are you serious? James Jordan, thank you so much for the $10 super chat. I really appreciate that. Thank you so much. Thank you for paying, for giving me penance, monetary penance. Thank you. I really appreciate that. All right, guys. Thank you all. I really appreciate you all. And until we meet again, peace. And as you guys are going out, enjoy this.
Hi, my name is Sean Nelson, and I'm with Alliance Defending Freedom International. You've probably seen the headlines about rising levels of Christian persecution in Nigeria. And it's true. Thousands of Christians are murdered year after year in Nigeria because of their faith, more than in all other countries combined. But what you may not know is that the persecution is sadly not new. And in Nigeria, there's persecution actually written into the law through harsh blasphemy laws. These laws criminalize people simply for expressing their faith, sometimes for nothing more than sharing a song lyric or a social media post. They embolden violent mobs and strip people of their most basic human freedoms. Blasphemy laws can result in a death sentence, and blasphemy accusations can lead to mob violence, silencing the voices of Christians and religious minorities. Take the case of Yahya Sharif Aminu, a young Sufi singer sentenced to death in 2020 for allegedly sharing lyrics deemed blasphemous. He's been imprisoned for over 5.5 years, awaiting justice from the Nigerian Supreme Court. Or take Deborah Yakubu, a Christian student stoned to death in May 2022 by her classmates for alleged blasphemy, all because of her faith in Jesus Christ. At ADF International, we are standing with the persecuted. We're supporting Yahya Sharif Aminu, taking his case all the way to Nigeria's highest court. Our goal is the overturning of blasphemy laws and increasing protection for religious freedom for all people, because no one should be jailed or punished, let alone face execution for peacefully living out their faith. You can learn more at adfinternational.org and join in the fight to protect religious freedom globally.